They say you are what you eat. That's funny. I must be eating a nervous wreck just before we turn on this camera. The family of a paramedic, Giovanna Vittori, who died in 2018, has won a $100,000 verdict in a lawsuit against the Kansas City Fire Department. Vittori's attorneys and family believe that her death was a suicide, caused by a cruel and hostile work environment, perpetuated at the hands of her former supervisor. Vittori suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder after attending an incident in which a man unalived himself. To help cope with her PTSD, she was transferred to the billing department. But her direct supervisor and other employees would bully her, triggering her PTSD. This included attempting to trigger her PTSD through surprising her or using department radios to trigger her episodes. Her anxiety increased, and her prescription medication was increased because of work-related stress. Despite filing an internal complaint that was substantiated, the fire department did not discipline or retrain the supervisor. Her lawyers had to work with emails and medical records to prove their case. The jury concluded that the city was liable for discrimination based on Vittori's disability. The awarded money will go to her son and daughter. Her attorney, Kevin Baldwin, said, "It was a long fight, but one that needed to be undertaken to vindicate the rights of Giovanna Vittori and all first responders who suffer with PTSD." Taylor Mathis, a host and analyst at Superbook, was fired from her job following a March Madness-themed math exercise she conducted at her sister's second-grade classroom. Mathis, who has worked her way up the ranks after graduating from the University of Iowa's journalism program, did not teach the children about gambling or how to open a sportsbook account, but rather discussed the numbers next to the team's names. Mathis took a photo with the class and the bracket and posted it to social media. However, instead of receiving positive responses from viewers, she was accused of child grooming by a gambling reform group. Her boss at Superbook asked her to delete the tweet and issue an apology, which she immediately did through tears. Though Mathis believed that the issue was resolved, she later received an email from Superbook's compliance department informing her that she was being let go. She was to delete everything about her relationship with Superbook and could not communicate with any employees. Mathis, whose mother has taught kindergarten for 33 years and whose sister is a teacher, expressed disbelief at being accused of teaching children about gambling. She maintained that she did nothing wrong and was simply using March Madness as a fun way to teach math. The incident raises questions about whether Mathis would have been fired before the series of New York Times articles that have made legislators and regulators nervous about promoting sports betting. Mathis appears to have been the victim of a self-policing trend. The incident has generated widespread support for Mathis, with many people in the industry reaching out to offer their support. Mathis has been sacrificed at the altar of responsible gambling, and her firing has been deemed ridiculous and unfair. Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, has resigned 2 weeks earlier than planned, just before a hearing over the company's union busting, led by Senator Bernie Sanders. During Schultz's third stint as CEO, the company has faced aggressive union busting tactics, which the National Labor Relations Board has ruled has broken the law more than 1,400 times. Schultz will be replaced by Laxman Narasimhan, a former PepsiCo executive. The union has responded with a stated acceptance of Schultz's resignation. Over 7,500 workers have been actively organizing to return to Starbucks' mission and values. Our movement stands for racial justice, inclusivity, and sustainability. We are hopeful that Laxman will chart a new path with the union and work with us to make Starbucks the company we know it can be, said Starbucks Workers United organizer and Buffalo barista Michelle Eason. Schultz was supposed to step down from his position on April 1st, after the March 29th hearing, before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Help Committee, led by Sanders, was announced earlier this month. Schultz's early resignation appears to have been strategically timed. The fact that Schultz was reluctant to testify before the committee could be evidence of this. Labor leaders say that Schultz's resignation does not change the fact that he must be held accountable for the company's union busting. The job-searching giant Indeed announced that it's laying off 15% of its workforce, or 2,200 employees. CEO Chris Hyams explained in a blog post that the decision was made due to the expected cooling down of the job market. The CEO himself will take a 25% cut in his base pay. Employees were notified about their job status via email within an hour of the announcement. The subject lines of the emails either read, "Your position has been impacted," or "Your position has not been impacted." Indeed is offering at least 16 weeks of base salary pay, compensation for accrued PTO, a cash payout for RSUs that haven't been vested, and access to career placement and mental health services. They can also keep their work laptop, which will be immediately disconnected from Indeed business systems. However, Slack, email, and Workday access won't be immediately impacted, so people can say goodbye to colleagues and remove personal materials from their laptops, which will be reset remotely. Other companies are sounding the layoff bell this week, with Walmart laying off hundreds of employees at fulfillment centers, Omaha Steaks bringing jobs back to Omaha by closing their Snyder facility, and Black & Decker closing 2 of their facilities, shedding over 350 jobs. This video is brought to you by my Facebook HR book group. Details of our book giveaways will be there by the time this video is up, so join today if you're into HR news and literature. You're supposed to find common interests with coworkers at the water cooler. If you're into books, bacon, or bullets, I think we can be friends. Artificial intelligence tools are changing the way people work, and the signs are becoming more apparent. LinkedIn postings that mention Generative Processing Transformer, or GPT, which is a technical term for AI-driven writing tools, increased by 51% from 2021 to 2022. The job site Indeed has also seen more than a 140% rise in job postings mentioning a language model, another term related to AI writing systems. The rise in job postings for AI tools is a sign that AI may affect millions of people's jobs. A study by OpenAI and the University of Pennsylvania found that 80% of the U.S. workforce could have at least 10% of their work affected by GPTs. Employers are seeking candidates who are willing to learn as AI tools expand beyond being related to tech function positions within companies. NetDragon Websoft, a Chinese gaming company, announced in August that it appointed an AI-powered virtual humanoid robot called Tang Yu as the CEO of its subsidiary, Fuhan NetDragon Websoft. Stock market figures have shown that the company's shares have risen by 10% in the past 6 months, and it is now worth about $1.1 billion. This move was made to increase efficiency in decision-making and risk management, as well as to ensure a fair and efficient workplace for all employees. We reached out to the only other company that we're aware of that's run by a robot, but Meta continues to deny this despite irrefutable evidence that only a toaster could run the company into the ground as bad as he has. Last month, the National Labor Board ruled that employers can no longer include non-disparagement clauses in severance agreements with employees, opening the floodgates for disgruntled employees to spill the tea on their former companies.
Fuck you, Meta!
We've encountered a time when self-expression has changed from an art form to the equivalent of turning on the TV with a remote. You just click, shout, and send, and as long as you piss off enough people, you're trending. Well, a lot of companies are about to meet a lot of pissed off former employees.
Who needs whistleblowers when you've got shade throwers?
Come back on Monday to find out how our test run with Bard writing my resume turned out.
It said your master's degree is a joke and suggested you go back into hospitality, but with more knee pads.
Fuck you!